So, I decided to make a video here, and it might be a little long. I don't know if it will be. I could do this in two parts. Either way, so bear with me. Um, it's really important, so stick around.
And now we interrupt, disrupt, and crash this station.
The man fighting for peace, his legacy, truth in a sea of stupid.
Filtered for your sarcastic enjoyment, Ghost Getter.
First, let me give you a backstory, okay? We weren't the most popular kids in school growing up. We weren't, it wasn't the most popular neighborhood growing up. It wasn't the most popular situation we lived in. We struggled for food. We struggled just to keep our shoes on, or to buy shoes, keep our shoes on. But we had the hardest time growing up. So we weren't the most popular kids. We weren't we were the nerdiest kids. We weren't the athletes. We weren't the top stars. And most teachers knew that, and most people that were in your higher educational whatever knew that. So we were put in the back of the class or forgotten. If we sat in back of the class, we were forgotten to the point where we were, I guess they just assumed that we would never get anywhere. I'm trying to turn my headphones up. Or they assumed that what's the point, because these kids were wound up on welfare and they'll never be successful, so we don't bother. And through our teenage years, going through school, it was pretty much the same scenario. Year after year, teacher after teacher, administrator after administrator, you name it. So we have been through this group of people, friends and everything, and you wonder why they're called losers or whatever. But we may not have been, according to society, the most well-known or smartest, but actually we were. And we grew up that way to know when certain things weren't right. We grew up knowing that people were full of, themselves. Or we grew up knowing that people were shysters, so to speak, I guess the word for it. And so, getting to me, I wasn't the, I had to act a certain way or be a certain way in order to ward off those bullies. And I've been bullied growing up as a young kid for years. I remember probably 5-6 years old, my brother walking me across the street, holding my hand so I wouldn't get hit by a car, and this bully came walking across the street and spit in my eye. And I still remember that to this day. It was traumatizing. So through the younger years and teenage years, going into the teenage years, it was pretty much the same thing. Had to deal with that in society. So in order to adapt, you had to be something you weren't, become something you're not, be somebody you don't like to be. So on the inside, there were things that weren't important to me. There were things I really didn't care about. And I wasn't the type that was like most guys. And so there were a lot of girls out there that liked me as friends or whatever. I don't know. Maybe they liked me more than that. I never really asked. Because I wasn't interested in what guys were interested in. I did like sports, but I didn't care about, because I grew up around it. I grew up around Spinney Field where the Bengals practice. So you knew who they were. You've met them several times. So it wasn't a huge to-do because they were, famous or whatever. They were just like anybody else. And so you liked sports, but you didn't really, you saw everything, and you really wasn't into being the athlete like everybody else. Of course, you probably weren't going to be very good at it anyway from where you grew up. or you didn't have those opportunities. So it wasn't important. Same thing with relationships. You didn't grow up seeing, you saw what everybody else could get. And so you knew you probably weren't going to have the best looking or the most popular or the most famous or the ones with the most money. So it really wasn't important to try. So on the inside, you were thinking, this is not who I really want to be anyway. It wasn't important. And so there are a lot of people out there that, I don't know, it's hard to really explain how I am in life. I didn't have an issue with being a pig, and I didn't have an issue with looking at some female as if they were a sexual object. I didn't really care. As I got older, I had to be the person that everybody else wanted me to be, and it really wasn't up to them. It was up to me. But I didn't really care about all that stuff because I knew I wasn't probably going to be good at it anyway. And so there were other things I was quite interested in other than what most people in society really, for what they see in the physical side of it, they see, what everybody wants: money, cars, fame, be an athlete, whatever, women, as being from a guy's point of view. And so there were other things I was actually interested in, but people weren't really there yet because I was way ahead of my time. Mentally, I was way ahead of my time. Spiritually, I was way ahead of my time. Because my mindset was on things that I knew was going to happen. I knew how society was going to wound up. And when you're taught and raised and bred into knowing this, you might as well not even bother because the world's going to end anyway. You were kind of grew up not even trying because you knew the world was going to end anyway. But I figured I'm not really good at it anyway, so I don't even want to bother. So I think I attracted girls because I didn't want them for that. I didn't really care on the inside I didn't want to sleep with them. And believe me, I'm not that way, so I'm not that way to it. And this is a reputation that I heard that I had in school of being into homosexuality or something. I don't even know where they got that. But the fact that just because I don't treat women like sexual objects, everybody assumes something. And I think, honestly, it was because I was a little different. I acted goofy. My body language was totally different. I was humorous all the time. I wasn't really, I didn't really macho size myself and didn't act a certain way. Definitely goofy, and I still am to a huge extent. And I think that's a problem that bothers other people. They had this notion that I was a certain way because I was not acting the same as everybody else. So I think that was their main reason, because I was interested in other things that I knew would end up being more important. So as I got bullied, or as I got treated like dirt, or as girls laughed at me, as I got went through all this, I tend to have watched. My whole being was, what was important to me was I sat back and watched everyone. I sat back and looked at how people acted. I studied their body movements. I studied their attitude. I studied scenarios of how situations turned out. I knew how things were going to wound up in relationships. I knew how things were going to wound up in, financially, physically, you name it. I studied it in the mind for decades. I've done this. Since I was a child, I've studied how people's actions are and what they were going to do next. while I sat back and watched this, I've told people, a few here and there that I was friends with, I told people this is how things are going to wound up. This is that, this is that, this is going to happen, blah, 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 blah. Some of them believed me, some of them didn't believe me. But the ones that did were completely in shock. I wasn't a psychic and didn't claim to be psychic. But there were, because of body language and the way people were acting and things that were going on, I can predict what would happen next. I had this girlfriend. I'll give you an example. I had this girlfriend when I was 18 years old. Just a month. It was like beginning of April to the end of April. And a friend of mine, I had this feeling that she, because of her body language and the way she was acting and things like that, she just changed. A certain person's character that acts a certain way, and they go on a straight line like this, and all of a sudden, the line changes. You know something's not right. And I had, by the body language, by the actions and things that were going on, I had this scenario that she was up to something that wasn't good. And so as she was walking up to me on the sidewalk, I turned to a friend and I said, watch this. Watch what I do. By her actions, I bet you I can predict that she was messing with somebody else. Just by her body language and the way she was acting lately. And he said, do it. I said, okay. And as she walked up, I said, who was that guy you were messing with at school? And she says, oh, that was just, wait a minute, how did you know about that? He looks at me and he just, with his mouth dropped open, as if, I'm thinking I'm psychic or something like that. And I told you, because imagine that was 18 years. Now I was 18 years old and I predicted that, being 18 years old. That was in the 1980s. So, being the fact it was in the 1980s, imagine what I can do now, today, in today's society, with predicting how things are going to turn out and the way people's actions are. I didn't care. Maybe I did slightly at the time. I don't know. I didn't care that she was seeing somebody else or whatever it was that was going on. The whole point of that scenario and the whole thing about what I was doing over the years is just trying to figure out scenarios. I'm the kind of person that tries to understand and see where the scenario is going, see where everything's going to go, just to figure out scenarios and clues and hints and different things like that, how scenarios turn out. And I was more interested in the scenario of everything, about predicting a person's body language and how they were going to react and things like that, rather than what they're actually doing with somebody else. I didn't really care in my mind about who she was messing with. I cared in my mind about, can I predict it, how the scenario is going to turn out? Because that's what I was good at. Now, growing up and becoming an adult, I don't care. Now, the whole point of this is, and I'm sorry it took so long, you understand, I don't care if you're famous. I don't care if you're rich. I don't care what kind of education you have, how much of it you got. I don't care how much money you have in your pocket. I don't care if you know the King of Siam. I don't even know if that even exists. I don't know if you are the King of Siam. I don't even know if that exists. But the point is, I don't care. I never cared in my life about things like that. And the reason is because physically, it doesn't matter. In the end, it's not going to matter. In death, you can't take them things with you. Only God can help you with that. Only God knows what you can take with you and what you have to leave behind. Only He can change things for you, whether you're alive or dead. And I'm not here to make this a religious conversation or anything like that. But it's not about fame. It's not about fortune. It's not about any of that stuff. And I'll give you another example real quick about meeting somebody famous, because I've done a lot of that before. I've had my opportunities from people that know me, that know that I've been into the paranormal and stuff for 10 years, or actually radio for 10 years. It goes way beyond that, even beforehand. I have spoken to people that have been on TV. I have spoken to people that have been popular, that have been famous. That, you know, I've known people like that. It wasn't my interest to be in their shoes as far as getting on TV, as far as making a lot of money. Everybody thinks that way. Everybody, you know, I'm a human being. It would be nice to have money. It'd be nice to have things. But my most important interest was not being on TV. It was not doing it for the money. It was none of that stuff. I had my opportunity, and I wasn't interested, and I threw that away. I don't know if you call that good or bad. For some people, why do you do that? But for me, I'm satisfied, and I have no regrets. And I'll explain that some other time, or if I have time here. But give you an example of meeting famous people, because I really don't really care one way or the other. A brother asked me one time to, you know, he was going to meet some Cowboys players, Dallas Cowboys players, and get some autographs. He can only have one autograph per session. So he had a football and a helmet, but he wanted autographs on both the football and the helmet, but he can only get it on one. So he asked me to go. I didn't really want to because I'm a Bengals fan. And, you know, what does it matter? Okay, whatever. Okay, I'll do it. But knowing that they have this ego, and sometimes they do, and I really don't appreciate their ego, I went ahead and went, and I had my Bengals gear on. I had my Bengals hat on, Bengals jersey. So I walk up to one of them who's sitting there, and I think it was Tony Tolbert, something like that. And I had, I think, the football in my hand, and he asked me, "Who you trying to be?" I said, "I'm not a Cowboys fan. I'm a Bengals fan. I'm just here because he asked me to be here. I don't really care one way or the other who you are or who this team is. I'm just here doing somebody a favor. I'm not a fan." So he said, "I don't care. We beat him anyway, blah, blah, blah." And he's running his mouth. He signs it and pretty much hands me the football, and really the hard way. And I said, "Well, that's fine. But, you know, knowing Cowboys history, you either lose to one or you win against one, but you lose to the other. But you never beat both teams at the same time." I said, "You're either going to lose to the Bengals, but you're not going to beat the Browns. One or the other. That's the way it's always been." He said, "We'll see about that." Well, a month or two goes by, and sure enough, the Browns beat him in overtime by a field goal. And I thought the funniest thing was, as I was watching it, he was trotting off the field at the end of the game, shaking his head. And I just knew at that point, that's what he was thinking about, is what I said at that autograph session. And he was just shaking his head as he was trotting off the field. But my point was, I don't really care. You know, I've met a lot of people from, you know, been on TV when it comes to ghost stuff. I've interviewed quite a few people. I've interviewed, I can't think of his name, but he was on The Walking Dead, and he was on Guardians of the Galaxy. I can't think of his name offhand. Sorry, apologize. And I'm sorry that I can't remember your name if you see this video. My brain is not as good as it used to be. But I've had major opportunities. I've interviewed people. I've talked to people. I've went to a horror convention where I stood and talked to Michael Berryman for a while, for the longest time, about bullying. We didn't even talk about any of the movies that he did, or any of the things that he done as far as his career-wise. We just stood around and talked about bullying. Because to me that was more important than what movies were done and things like that. And the only thing I said to him is, I swear every time I think about the Motley Crue video, bend over. But but it doesn't matter to me anything that you have physically, because in the end it isn't going to matter. But I know what you're up to. I know what you're doing, and you can tell everybody around you on this planet, because in your narcissistic way, you're going to do that, because that's the kind of narcissist you are, that I am a bad person because of this, and he's this way, and he's that way, and he's this guy, and he's that guy. And you're going to have everybody around you believe you, because that's the narcissist you are. Speaking of one in particular person. But there are many out there. But I know how you are. And it doesn't matter what they think. And it really don't matter what I think. And it really doesn't matter what you think. The truth is the truth, and you can't change it no matter how much you try. There's nothing you can do about that. I think, honestly, if you come down off your high horse and tell people how you really think, because, you're not going to, because you're too afraid to do so, maybe things wouldn't be so bad. Maybe things won't be as bad as you think they are. But of course, that's never going to happen, because that's the narcissist way. Anyway, I'll get back to that later on. But anyway, it doesn't make a difference if you are a famous person, whatever the point is. But so far, I've studied my entire life as far as things go. Scenarios, situations, things that are going to happen, end time predictions, because of it's in the Bible. It's not my credit. It's God saying, hey, this is going to happen. And so far, it has happened. And I told people for years chaos would break out into the street. I told people for years the economy is going to collapse. There are certain things that are talk about goofiness. Certain things I said were going to happen in the end time. I said that this is what God said was going to happen in no certain order, but there are certain things that are going to happen. Chaos break out into the street, pestilence, financial collapse, predictions of peace and security and things like that. I said that was going to happen because I know how people are. I know how scenarios go. God said it was going to happen because he knows how people's actions are. Man cannot rule themselves. He knows this. He knows how you're going to be. He knows how you're going to react. And so we have people trying to destroy the Bible. We have people trying to hide the truth of what God said. You can hide it all you want. You can try to hide it all you want. And you can try in your narcissistic way to think that if you do things your way, everything's going to be the way it is. But you're wrong. It won't be that way, because that scenario has been coming true for a long time. It was said that this was going to happen, and it's going to happen. It is happening right now. You're falling into this hole that it was opened up. He said you were going to fall into it, and you're falling into it, and you still don't believe it. I can't believe some people in their brain can't see their actions. Oh, I'm not going to do that. God doesn't exist. I'm not going to do that, while they're doing it. So it makes no sense to me how you can sit there and say, or try to destroy things so people won't know, but you're doing it anyway. So it isn't going to matter what you're destroying, what you're getting rid of, and how you're getting rid of it. It isn't going to matter. You're doing it anyway. You can't hide what you really are. You can't hide who you truly are. And you can tell everybody all day long and give them this BS about how, oh, I'm not this way. I'm innocent. I'm a kind and gentle person. You can do that all day long. But there are people out there that know your BS. There are people out there that know that how you really are, what you really think, and how you really feel, and your true actions. There are people out there that know this. And those people happen to be the people that are important. Not an athlete, not an actor, not a musician, not somebody has the billions of dollars out there, Oprah Winfrey's and your baseball, basketball players and all this other stuff. Well, if you don't like him, you're racist. I don't give a crap. Because it doesn't matter what they think. Because in the end, they're human. Just like you, just like me, just like everyone else. And I know their scenario. And I know where they're going with this. And I know where they're going to wound up. So hide everything you can hide, but it doesn't change the truth, and it never will. And so, for the last 10 years, actually more than 10 years now, I've been studying New Earth religion. I've been studying how Oprah Winfrey's actions are, and she's not the only one. There are hundreds of people out there that think themselves as being the utmost human God and king of all and queen of all, that thinks they know better, that thinks they know, that would sit there and think they know the right way you should live and how you shouldn't live and how you should be and how you shouldn't be. And I've said this since 2007 about Oprah or 2008 about Oprah and Bill Gates and all this other stuff that was going to happen, and this New Earth religion, this whole scenario about the certain amount of percentage of population needs to be wiped out because there's just too many people in the world. God said this would happen years ago, for decades, for hundreds of years, for thousands of years. He said this would happen. I said it would happen years before. I can't believe they're going to do this. I've been saying it in my show for over 10 years now. Since 2007, I've been predicting Hillary Clinton's in the New Earth religion. Oprah Winfrey's in the New Earth religion. Obama's in the New Earth religion. Adolf Hitler's in the New Earth religion. And what really gets me, more than anything, is the BS you're believing that it's all about racism. We need to clean out racism and stop racism. But the idiots don't realize is this New Earth religion, what they call the Aryan Way, or used to be the Aryan Way, but they changed the name to New Earth. But it's the Aryan Way. The blonde hair, blue-eyed, white race that's supposed to rule for 1,000 years. But what you don't realize is the elimination of people of different colors, the elimination of people with handicaps that they will eliminate, they will kill. I say kill. They say it's for a cleaner world because there's too much pollution, because we make everything all better, because we're running out of food, and they're messing up the water. It's always they're messing up the water, and they're polluting the earth, and they're destroying this and they're destroying that. And we want to make a better society. There's two kinds of people in this world. This is why I'm so dangerous. There's two kinds of people in this world. They're the ones that live a life, and there are those that have a dark side. What they truly think and how they truly believe and what they truly feel. I know their dark side. I know what they truly think, and I know how they truly feel. I know what they're really up to. That's the point. That's the problem. It's the dark side that you're not seeing. Everybody seems to see this. Oh, she's going to give you a new car. She's going to make your book all good and famous. She does nothing but help people in the world. And then she says things like this.
And there's a whole generation, I say this, I said this, for apartheid South Africa. I said this for my own, community in the South. There are still generations of people, older people, who were born and bred and marinated in it, in that prejudice and racism, and they just have to die.
And so now she comes out with the things about privileges and stuff. She's a billionaire, of course. And, life is hard for her. You can see it in her eyes. And it's got nothing to do with prejudice. It's got nothing to do with race. It's got everything to do with her agenda. And it's got everything to do with their agenda. And it's not just her. It's several people that I've mentioned on my show. And I see two kinds of people in this world. They're the ones that live and the ones that are truly living a dark side. The ones that actually are their true selves. The ones that fake it and the ones that actually live their true selves. I see it. I know. And the sad thing is, it's just sad. It's just not a sad thing. It's just sad altogether, because you can't be who, it feels really good being yourself. It feels really good telling people how you really are, showing them how you really are, and not living a lie. It must really suck living a lie. But it's really sad that there are thousands of people out there that follow this religion, that believe in everyone's a god, believe in the crystals and worship of the sun, and all this stuff, that if you just sing Kumbaya, everything's going to be all right. It's Mother Earth we need to protect, and blah 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 blah, is a front. It's all a front, because you really know what they're, if you really the problem with me is I woke up years ago and started to see how people really are. This is why I sat back and studied body language for a very, very long time and started to see how people really, really are. And there are some people that are rich that don't see it. There are people out there that are well educated that are just as dumb as a box of rocks. There are people out there that have all the money in the world and can't pay for this. They cannot afford it and can't see it. And it doesn't matter how much money you put out, you still can't see it. You can't buy common sense. And there are just some athletes that's all they have. And that's why I say it doesn't make a difference. It isn't going to matter in the end, because what really matters is what he thinks. It's what God thinks. Because in the end, how are you going to answer for your own actions? What can you say to yourself when you're on your deathbed? Did I do right or did I do wrong? Did I live the way I wanted to live? Did I actually say what I really meant? Did I actually feel how I really felt? Did I actually let them know what I really think? Are you going to say to yourself, I'm ashamed of who I really am, or are you going to be the person you are meant to be? Are you going to be the person you should be? Because nothing you do is going to fix that. Only you can fix that, and it doesn't take money or fame, or it doesn't take anything and all that to change that. This is why I wanted to do my show in the beginning. This is why I've been doing my show for years, is to warn people of these things out there that are going on now worse than ever. Things have gotten worse than they ever did before, and it's frightening, it's scary, it's more dangerous than it ever was. You got to ask yourself, how do you want to be? What really matters to you? Tearing up a block or killing somebody or destroying property or stealing, that doesn't solve it. That doesn't solve what you really want in life. It doesn't solve it. You got to work for it. You got to actually be yourself. Be who you truly are on the inside. Get rid of that dark side. You know? Get rid of that dark side. Because it's not helping you at all. It doesn't benefit you in any kind of way whatsoever. It doesn't benefit you. It doesn't. And one other thing else I wanted to mention, being the fact that I was talking about narcissism earlier. You think I don't know your hints that you're dropping? You think I don't know the codes? You think I don't know the coded messages and all the things that you're doing? You think I ignore it quite a bit. I don't ignore everything, but I ignore quite a bit. And like I said, I've gotten to be pretty good at seeing things. I've gotten to be pretty good at knowing what people are up to and their messages and things like that. I've gotten to be pretty good at that. And just because I don't respond doesn't mean I don't know about it. But maybe it's just not that important to me. Maybe, or the fact that they can't be who they truly are. I just get a little tired of that. And maybe that's why I don't. But I know, just like Oprah, just like how demons do it, just like because everybody else I've seen in scenarios, hiding it is not going to stop who you truly are. It's not going to stop it. You can hide it all day long and make everybody seem like you're the most innocent person on the planet, and you're the most gracious person and the kindest person, and I never do anything wrong. Bullies used to say the same thing. Actually, they still do say the same thing. Every time they bully somebody, whether it's mentally or physically, they always say that, oh, I never would do anything like that to somebody. They're crazy. They're psychotic. There's something wrong with them. They always tend to do that. They always seem to pull that, innocence, and I'm the kindest, most gentle person on the planet. I really like how they do that because they all do the same thing. Let me give you an example. I keep giving examples because people ask me to give examples about people that live one side and they live another side, they live a dark side. There was one scenario of this person. I'm not going to tell you who it was because it's, that was acting goofy and nice and all this stuff. And he was a totally great character and he was just a all around great guy and all that stuff. One day, him and a friend, I was in the back seat. He was in the front seat driving, and he picked up a friend, and the friend got in the car, and he opened this little envelope with, I can't think of the name of it. Wow, what's wrong with me? Tinfoil. It had tinfoil, and he opened up the tinfoil, and the tinfoil had cocaine in it. And I was just a young kid at the time, and it had cocaine in it. And they're all laughing and joking around and stuff like that, and he's being who I thought he truly is. But he turns around, he looks at me dead in the eyes, and he says, if you tell anybody, I'll kill you. And he looked me straight in the eyes when he said that. Actually, he said, tell my mother, but if you tell anybody, I'll kill you. It was then, at that point, that I knew, learning as I grew up, I was learning how people truly are, and there's two sides to everyone. That was the second side of this person that I've never seen before. And to me, that was the true side of this person that I've never seen. I kind of think that was his real side. And his attitude that I've always known to be was a fake attitude. Was not who he really was. But the fact that he told me to my eyes that he would kill me, and he meant it, you just don't get rid of that. That kind of thing stays with you for the rest of your life. There are two things that people have told me that always been haunting to me. One is when they told me they killed me. I've had that happen twice. Never leaves you, always haunts you. And somebody that tells you emphatically that they wish you were dead. Somebody that tells you, I wish you were dead. when they tell you that and you know they mean it, that thing is haunting and it never leaves you for the rest of your life. Those words and that voice never goes away. It always stays with you. And it always tells you that is the true person that you just witnessed. That person that you've always known is not the real person. That person that just told you that they wish you were dead and they would kill you, that's who they truly are. I seen that in Oprah's eyes when she said they all have to die. I see that in a lot of people's eyes. You're messing with the wrong person. That person is a dangerous individual. And I've tried to tell people this for years. They are dangerous people. When I had a show about her, I got my Justin TV account banned. It was taken down because they said my show was objectionable material. Not once have I cursed. Not once have I broke FCC regulations. I've not done anything except expose the woman for who she truly is. But that show was banned. But I tell you what, it was banned off of Justin TV, but I didn't get rid of that show. I recorded it. I record every single one of my shows. So it's still there. I still have it. So, you know, you always got to have a backup. That's the thing about what I've learned in radio. One, you always have a backup. And two, something about, you know, resume. Always let everybody look at your resume. I'm going to put that on my Facebook because radio stations look at that. They want to see how long you've been involved and what you've been into and how good you are or whatever it is. I don't know the reasons, but they always look at that. Anyway, pull that stunt all day long where you can do whatever you want and think that you're, oh, I'm going to give you a car and, hey, I'm an innocent person. But, you know, intelligent people won't believe you. I tell you that right now. The only person that's believing you are idiots. That's the only people that are believing you. And maybe you want idiots to believe you. Do you want the intelligent people that really matter to believe you? Or do you want idiots to believe you? That's what really counts. So that's why I continue to do what I do. That's why I'm going to continue to do my show, because I think it's more important now than ever that people know what's going on. I think it's more important now than ever that people start waking up. It's time to wake up. Wake up. Anyway, thank you for listening. I'm sure I've left something out or forgot about something, and I'm sorry the video was long. Hopefully I can remember, and I'll do more videos when I can remember, but I'm trying to figure out a day to start my show, and I think I'm going to do it on a Sunday because I think more people are at home on Sunday. That's what I think I'm going to do. So keep listening to the station. Keep checking out the videos. Keep waiting for me. Sorry it's been a long time. Sorry it's been a long video, but until next time, thanks everybody. Now we'll see you on the flip side. Hey everybody, don't forget to check out Reverse 96 FM on TuneIn, Streema, and now internetradio.com.